Hi, how are you? Russell Cummings here. I wanted to take you through a new product development process that I've used with a number of clients. And here's the sort of generic version of it. Obviously, we need to tailor it to your specific needs. I guess the process works by having sort of a gated process, if you like. And by a gated process, I mean that we move through at different points. You make an assessment of whether you're going to move forward with that new product. Okay, so the whole thing's about, instead of going out and going hardcore all the way, you actually make an assessment at different points, which we'll call a gate. So you've got to get through that gate in order to move on to the next phase. So the three gates we'll look at really easily are Gate 1, which is the initial evaluation. So we do initial concept outline, we evaluate some options and alternatives, and then make a decision on that using our go, no-go decision matrix. Once you've decided to sign off and go to that next point and invest the money and the time and the energy to go to the next point, we then go into Gate 2. We do a far more detailed evaluation. So we look at the business environment we're working in, clearly define our customer, what's the competition up to, what's happening across the marketplace, what's happening with the product. We do some financial analysis, we do some risk analysis, and then we make another decision on whether we're going to go to the next phase. And the next phase, the next gate you've got to move through is the prototype gate. All right, so basically we're saying, get the concept right. If that concept makes sense and everybody's happy with it, then let's go and build a prototype, or a test batch, or whatever it is we're building. Okay, so test and evaluate the prototypes. So we want to get some feedback from potential customers on our prototype, and evaluate that and make whatever changes we like. We need to evaluate, once we're making the prototype, can we actually take it into production? So we need to evaluate for production, and then obviously we need to develop a marketing plan and materials and be ready to go. And if all that's fine, then we'll obviously move into some sort of production phase, or we'll shelve it for a later date, or we'll rework it and come back through the prototype phase again, or we take it to market. Anyway, let's quickly just run through the things we're going to want to talk about. So in Gate 1, the initial evaluation, we'll go through this in detail in the course, but who's the target market, how many will we sell, what are the key elements of it, what price points, how we're going to distribute it, and how we're going to market and sell it. Pretty important stuff. The no-go matrix looks at some key factors, and you evaluate it against your product, against competitors if you have that competitor information, and then you decide to move ahead at that point. All right. We then if we've decided to move ahead at that point, we need to do a detailed evaluation. We define our customer really clearly. We look at the product and really break it down. We look at the business environment and pull it apart and say, what's happening in our business environment. We do a competitor analysis. We do a market analysis. We do a risk analysis. So we've got all these spreadsheets, all these things to do. Now, some of them you may decide not to do. If it's a small product with not a great investment, you may not do a risk analysis and other things. But this is the process that's here if you want to roll out a larger project as well. Then we do a financial analysis. Now, that will vary depending on different circumstances. Okay, so we do our financial analysis and pull it all together, and then on balance we make a decision whether we're going to move through that second gate and move on to the prototype phase. All right, if you decide to make that investment now to step it up into the prototype phase, and Gates 1 and Gates 2 can take you less than a day to do. It can take a couple of hours to flick through some of the stuff that you really need to be across for this. So, it's not a big elaborate process. You should be able to do it fairly quickly if you need to. All right. The prototype phase will vary, but at some point you need to test and evaluate prototypes. You need to evaluate that prototype, how you're going to take it to production. Do you need jigs to frame it up and build a product, or recipes, or packaging, or other things, special equipment to get the volumes that you need, those sorts of things. And then develop a marketing plan and materials to move ahead. You might want to update your financial plans, all that sort of stuff in there as well, and then sort of move on. And then really the decision is, evaluate the new product and available information. Do we proceed to a full or limited production run? Do we, need to complete some additional market research and product development before recontinuing the process? Do we shelve the project to a future date for review if the market's changed, or do we cancel the project? All right, so they're the sort of processes we make. So this course will just step you through each of those steps. As I said earlier, in Gate 2 you can jump some of the steps if you don't think they are relevant for you and your business. All right, any questions, just give me a yodel, send me a post through the Mindshop Online or an email, or pick up the phone and give me a call. Thanks.